The top of every mountain is the bottom of another. The top of every mountain is the bottom of another. Run for cover, you discover some will thrive and others suffer. Cause the top of every mountain is the bottom of another. Ooh, don't wait, don't hesitate. Better speak the truth, let it resonate and let it detonate and get blown away. Till you keep on rising to a higher place. Can't stop, won't stop, don't stop coming till we hit the top. Gotta keep pushing till the day I make it. Since they won't give it to me, then I got to take it. The pain today is power tomorrow. Keep on coming, but you'll never catch me running. Cause I won't bow down. No matter what they say, I wouldn't do it any other way. Keep on coming, but you'll never catch me running. Cause I won't bow down. Top of every mountain is the bottom of another. The top of every mountain is the bottom of another. Not enough, they keep us smothered. Lower class, never the upper. Cause the top of every mountain is the bottom of it.
Man, Sony is he's great with lyricism and wordplay. Wouldn't y'all agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I would agree. Yeah.
Good evening, UN Spacey Wolf Squadron. This is your Wolf Commander Wolf Chant. I'm your werewolf. We're doing the part 2 of history, but I decided to make it a chill stream so we can revisit any old topics and we can go all over the place all we want tonight. Because tomorrow I get to sleep all day. So I'm making it special tonight, Friday night. So we're doing Chill Friday. So I think what I'm going to do from now on with the chill streams is that we'll use that as the bedrock to revisit some old stream comments that we could have made or topics that we could have talked about, rather than just doing a part 1, part 2 sort of thing. Just get it all out of there and out of our system, and then move on to the next topic. That'd be a nice change of pace, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Fashionably late is the
That's not a bad idea.
Leia Valor, Leia plus size. Now, if I can add her in, there she go.
Hooray!
Hello, everyone. This is Leia Plus Size, your Levelated Valor. So apologies for being late, but sometimes you just have a busy schedule. And I just was able to look and see we were streaming something tonight. This is going to be a chill stream, so welcome. And I am very sure that we are going to have some fun.
With a little sprinkle of history talks.
All right.
In other words, Leia, it's part 2 of our history episode of the Real Millennials.
Nigga,
That's
you
what we're
gotta
going to
open
be.
your mouth when every time I introduce somebody next.
God. Thank you, Dom. Okay. So tonight, history. All right. I'll be able to chime in on that one.
Anyways, the Humble Rise, Humble Marty.
Hello, I am Humble Marty. Welcome to our chill stream where we chill out about history and talk about stuff and still end up going back to history.
We have the Hound of the South Dominic Pal.
Good evening, morning, or afternoon, everyone. This is the Hound of South Dominic Pal, and welcome to a double, really, a chill stream, as well as part 2 of history with the Real Millennials.
We have the Sixth Ranger, the Dark Stranger.
Hello and good morning on this Saturday, and R.A.P. to great boxer and legend George Foreman.
Yes, rest in peace,
that's
Maybe
right.
rest in peace.
legend.
Yeah.
A man who made waves and was best known for knocking Muhammad Ali out.
Yes.
And all the fat out of all those burgers and stuff with that wonderful grill.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
that grill. Yeah, I love that
Me
grill.
too.
Yes, I loved that grill.
But actually, it's funny enough.
I still have it.
It's funny enough. What it's through the George Foreman grill is how I was introduced to Foreman himself, and also watch his old boxing videos.
I don't really know much about him. I just know him for that one fact alone.
That he knocked out
Ali, yeah.
Ali. Yeah, I know that too. That's where I know him from. And I've
Like
seen him make
that's
a
all
few-
everybody talked about when it came down to Foreman. He also had a dumbass docudrama movie made about him,
Mm.
which
Oh, I never
embellished a lot of shit.
Yep.
That's my number one. That's my number one thing that I cannot stand about certain biography movies or just how biography movies are told in general. Is that if 80% of your fucking movie is embellishment, you got a problem with me. And a lot of people who know the history, who remembers the history as well. Just like Straight Outta Compton, as much as I enjoyed that movie in parts, that movie is fuck all 70% embellished.
Yes, it is. It very much
Speaking,
is
you know
a
what?
lot.
We're in the topic of history, anyways. Let's go into to that bullshit history, that bullshit revisionist history. Straight Outta Compton did, and oh my god, what was really their issue with Easy E throughout that whole fucking film? They made him seem like he was a fucking failure and a pussy. Even the way, shoot, one controversy, the way how they handled his death. Like Jesus, I didn't. Is when I saw a video that detailed the fucking bullshit. Excuse me. It's one thing I began to realize why certain figures like Easy E, Michael Jackson, and many other entertainers get shit on by a lot of other entertainers in Hollywood in general or any other entertainment industry.
Let's
Yeah,
not
want to
forget
know
Kanye.
why?
Why?
Yeah, want to know why?
Why is
Please
that?
tell us. What is it?
It's because they're entrepreneurs and philanthropists. The
Mm-hmm.
one thing that
Mhm.
Hollywood and many other entertainment industries, corrupt entertainment industries, to be more
Accurate.
to be more accurate, right? Or just basically narcissistic entertainers or any people within that industry, right? One thing they cannot stand, can never ever will ever understand, or will not or cannot fathom in their presence is a humanitarian and a philanthropist. Roll it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they just hate Batman because of his Bruce Wayne persona.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what he
Pretty
stands
much.
for.
Yep.
They
And
can-
also,
They and you
And
Really
know
just hatred towards the rich folk in general.
and you know
Yeah.
how Marvel loves to tear down Iron Man. Any chance they get in any new media that they churn out now.
Mhm.
and of course,
He's
like
started
one
your
of the late,
cinematic universe, and this is the thanks you give him? Like, fuck you, Marvel.
yeah, and of course, one of the latest victims of this is Kanye West.
I don't
Oh
know
yes.
what he does with his wealth. I don't know what he does on his off time, but yeah, they fuck with him a lot too. I don't know why. I mean, he almost on the same boat as them sometimes, and you know, I think the reason why they mess with him because he's so unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
One man he'll talk about how Bush don't care about black people. Another man he talking about how you know bitches and hoes and the like. You know.
Mhm.
Or it's because he did the cardinal sin, yet the most truthful thing. He went on that stage and pretty much called out Taylor Swift as being basic bitch.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah.
No, he's
Mhm.
That was
not
history of the
wrong.
making.
No, he wasn't wrong.
He's not wrong.
Now,
He's
granted,
not
he did
wrong.
it for Beyonce's favor, who's also not that great, but still.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got the better voice.
And drama like that is what fuels the tabloids.
And let's not.
I will give Beyonce props. She has the better voice between her and Taylor.
I agree. I agree.
And more of
the
a
songs.
body and figure.
Yeah. He's not wrong.
He's not
But
wrong.
yeah,
But
I
also-
like to think that that movie was made to really showcase their jealousy towards Eazy-E. Because learning about what Eazy-E did for black people and many others, regardless of skin color, That is that right there is a feat.
Hmm.
I agree.
That is quite the feat, and I began like it's probably why I resonated with him way more in Straight Outta Compton. You know, more so than Ice Cube. Like I resonate with Ice
Same,
Cube
same here.
in Straight Out too, but like Easy, like bro, Easy was saying the right stuff. He was saying all the right stuff, but to learn that he was introducing black folk to rodeo and skateboarding and all that kind of stuff, man, I'm like, bro, this man
Um,
was a philanthropist.
Yeah,
Paid his
yeah,
paid his
and also
baby
like also,
child support, even though he didn't need to do that, but he
no, but
did
he
it
wanted to.
anyway.
Hmm.
I will say this. I do agree with you, Wolf, about philanthropist, but I was not a fan of the group's music. I have to be honest.
No,
I
you
did
don't have
not.
to be. You
I
don't
did
have to
not.
be.
Thanks. So in the movie, the criticism for the music, I had to agree with that because I did not like their music, their songs, their lyrics. I just had too much dignity about myself to
Mm,
just listen to music that
Mhm.
used and spoke with women with that kind of language. I wasn't a fan of it. I got to tell the
mm,
truth here. So some of the criticism that NWA got, I kind of had to agree with. And I think now looking back and now to this day, a lot of their critics were right about them as far as the music was concerned. Because I just hated, because at the time I would work with kids in school and just to hear them sing and rap those four little words with the lyrics disturbed me. That bothered me.
mm.
But I get what you're saying, but I
So you
can't
were
say
disturbed by them saying "fuck the police" as well.
and all I don't that and other vulgar words being used. I wasn't crazy about that. I gotta tell the truth there. And I think in some ways, some of it has some of those kids that we're doing now are older, you know, and I think it's affected our society even now. I'm not a
A
prude.
lot of
I'm not a
songs
prude, but
that are well loved and well listened to and well versed have definitely have left an impact on a lot of us, especially in the early to late 2000s. It
yes.
really got worse in the 2000s because after that,
Mhm.
you know it was about the most in the late in the mid, I mean early late 2000s, getting high, smoking, drinking, and a whole lot of ways before you hit the 4-0. You
Now,
know,
Buddy Smith is asking to refresh him on what did Easy E do.
Easy E opened a lot of doors for a lot of black artists as well. Sorry, I'm reading a few comments. I mean, we're on a roll in the damn comics. But no, but Easy E he opened the doors. He
You're
formed
roboting a
Bone
little
Thugs.
bit,
He was
Wolf.
a.
I
Can
don't know
y'all
if
hear me
you
now?
don't.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
hear you just fine.
Yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you now.
Yes, you're better
He's the
now.
reason why. He's the reason Bone Thugs and Harmony came into existence. For one,
Hmm. That's true.
he got a lot of groups that like. Bone Thugs is the only one I can think of right now, but he established a lot of groups. He got a lot of rappers names names on the board too to be recognized as well. He did a lot of things for black people. He was doing well enough for the community to be recognized. And in fact, he's an honorary Mexican even when he was still around
That is
Hmm.
true.
because he was in the. Now, granted, his reputation as a gangster is well known. It's well recognized as well. That's something I don't agree with, but you know, I got respect the man. If he had that connection like that, he earns my respect on that. To him, I mean, when Suge was going after him, trying to mess with him, bro had had a whole host of Mexican gangs backing him. He had an army. You want to know how big his entourage was? He had an army backing him. I don't remember the name of the gang. Unfortunately, sorry for anybody who knows them, and I don't know them. You can tell me in the comments later on after the show wraps. In fact, you can give me a whole full history lesson in the comments after this stream is done, if you want to. Be my guest. I would love to be educated, okay, or re-educated. But yeah, he was well known and well loved, and I think majority of the embellishment in Straight Outta Compton was behind Dre because Dre and you could tell that movie favored Dre a lot because it tried to treat him like he's this superhero throughout, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He is not a good person whatsoever.
Yeah,
I
I
believe
recall
it.
when I remember when I watching like straight out of Compton. I was like nodding my head like okay like they got this right, but I was also like rolling my eyes and shaking my head like that is not what happened when I research. So there's not just Dre, but also like Straight Outta Compton like as a band.
I mean, they downplay Ren, they downplay Yella.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ren took a heavy hit too, but it was like I said, they were really gunning for it easy throughout that whole movie.
Yeah,
Just trying to
but
portray him in such a negative and pathetic light, and trying to elevate Dre's importance throughout that whole film.
yeah, Leia, if you didn't like well at the police, I didn't like, and to this day I still don't like that song either from their debut. Just be glad that you did not listen to the Cop Killer from Ice-T's band Body Count.
They were
Yeah.
really a lot of black MCs were really having it out for cops.
Yeah, and
Well,
I didn't like that.
granted, like they were playing even back then, like they were like painting cops in a broad stroke, thinking that all of them like are crooked, corrupt, or anything else in between, while ignoring or downplaying playing like the good cops to show people that not all cops are like that.
And also, I agree with you, Don. But also to add to that, they're so busy bringing down the cops, they weren't looking at their own people in their own neighborhoods that were making it hard. They weren't looking at the drug dealers and the gang members that were killing other gang members and killing innocent people and shooting up innocent people for no reason. They weren't
Let's
paying
call it for
attention to
what it
that.
is the fact that they didn't know exactly what they want to be mad at. Either the cops that don't do anything to stop them, or the cops
Hmm.
that do something, and obviously that person that criminal friend of a friend is a friend that they're trying to protect, or you know they just want to get in on the internalized history that they're trying to live through vicariously.
This just goes to show like what was going on only within the community is not a race issue. It's a cultural issue, which Thomas Sowell, Shapiro, and countless others have brought up even back then.
Yeah, I agree.
Where
And
did you get that angle from?
it didn't help much as we've seen over the years. I think it
Well,
caused
it
more
didn't help
damage than
much because
good.
they wanted to keep perpetuating and keep it alive rather than just getting over it.
Oh, true. Or keep some of us ignorant, keep some of us into the victimhood, keep some of us
I
down in a
advise
way.
anybody who's listening to read The Iron Triangle
And
by
also, and
Vincent
also,
Everett Ellison.
Yeah, I
also
think it came like
read
5 books, I
black
think.
rednecks and white liberals by Thomas Sowell.
Yeah.
It's all connected. Humble, you haven't said anything in a while.
Mm, one of the things I was thinking about is a movie that actually has a positive view of a philanthropist happened to be a Christian movie called The Forge.
Oh yeah, I
And
actually saw a trailer for that.
Yeah, and he was the father figure.
The father figure to who?
Well, to the protagonist, because they actually did a whole character arc with this black kid who was a bit of a slacker. Some didn't have a dad in the house due to plot reasons.
Mhm.
And the movie just follows him basically joining the church and basically bettering himself.
So I haven't seen. I've not seen that movie, but I do plan on it.
Now, my question is, what's your take on Get On Up?
I thought it was okay, but it could have been better.
I agree.
I do
Mhm.
love. I did. This was when Chadwick Boseman was at his height, and I have to admit, I did love him as an actor, as a performer. There's no doubt in my mind that he was. He was an up and coming talent to me. I've got to be honest about that. But I don't think it was the best biography done. I think James Brown, the legend that he is, could have got a better doc. It could have been better. I'll just put it like that. It could have been done much better. I don't doubt Chadwick Boseman's talent because I believe that Chadwick Boseman pretty much could play any role he wanted. He was that kind of refreshing talent. But I just felt the writing and the pace of the film could have been done just a bit better.
No, what they were doing. See, the thing is, what they were doing with this one and a lot of biography movies at this point, they're doing. excuse me. They're doing the so-called greatest hits style of storytelling. And that has been a very detrimental writing technique for biography movies for quite some time now.
Yeah, they should have honestly taken notes on the Beach Boys biography movie because it actually go against the
The
grain
Jersey
by
Boy.
and the Jersey Boys, yeah, and that was done by Clint Eastwood. Like those two movies, like they go against the grain of like how people done like biography movies like on musicians and bands.
I still also think I agree with you both, but I still also think What's Love's Got to Do with It is one of the best rock documentaries. I think, excuse me, musical biographies I've ever seen. I think it still holds up. I still What's Love's
I
Got to Do
agree.
with It still holds up.
Excuse me.
It still holds up to this day. That was so well done.
And it does help that the actors who played Ike and Tina respectively, they showed off that they can carry a tune.
Yeah, and what makes them good, you see, what I like about, I'll use What's Love Got to Do with an example, or some say maybe Bohemian Rhapsody. But what I loved about What's Love Got to Do with It is and because I didn't like Rocket Man either, I thought that was terribly done. But what I liked
Yeah.
about that was what's another one that was what Wolf just described as greatest hits biography. But What's Love Got to Do with It worked is you have to show you show their life behind the scenes, who they were, because that's a part of who made them who they are. But what I loved about the movie is it showcased her talent and why Tina Turner, how Ike and Tina, and then Tina Turner solo were the stars they were, because I loved all the recreations of the live performances, all the creations. Much massive props to Angela Bassett for but I do understand Tina Turner was there to coach her. She coached her through it, and she coached her good, because what's the best thing about that film are they're recreating their live performances. You need that because you have to show what made that person a star. You have to show what was it about them that made them stand out. And that film did a good job showing what made Tina Turner the star she was. From the dancing that she did on stage with her dancers, from being with Ike, and right up to her solo years. And that's why I think that movie is such a classic as far as musical biographies.
The film also it didn't shy away from like any of the like the harshness and sensitive topics that was going on all like in her life, like even during her days, I was with her and Ike.
Right. The
In other
film.
words, in other
Yeah,
words, the movie was telling it like it is instead of going the route of pop history.
yeah, I agree with you. Basically, yes. Call it what it is. The domestic violence she faced under Ike. They did not shy away from that, and you're right. It wasn't like you just described it. It followed every aspect of her life and did not hide that part of it. Wasn't sugarcoated.
Yeah. And also, but buddies bring up Bohemian Rhapsody as well. Well, because it was like even the surviving members like did not enjoy the film as well because it did
Hmm.
not portray the history of the band like as they as they were. Were it also there's also the fact of trying to like
Yeah.
portray like Freddie that he was gay, but no, he swung both ways. Even like Brian May and his friends and family they back this up.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? I think that was played up to try, and maybe I'm over assuming this, but I think it was played up to try to get that film some Oscar nods. I kind
Yeah.
of think
And
so.
also, and
Yeah, they
also try
Could
to
have had
bring in
something
like the
to do
loud vocal minority within the gay demographic.
right. That's I think that's who they were playing to. I heard a lot about that about the group
Yeah.
and
Freddie Mercury is a
and
romantic, but he's not a gay dude. Because like Dom said, he's bi.
that wouldn't have mattered to
And
them in the long run. It's like you could be bi straight, what you can be bi, pan, whatever, no matter what, you're marked by them.
yeah, and and it's really crazy that after all these years, there's like the boys they tend to be picked on by not straights, but most of the time other gay people.
Yeah. And most of the
That
time, now that I think about it, they tend to be the most overlooked by a lot of people who consider themselves to be homosexuals.
the
They're
forgotten
starting to
middle
alienate a
child.
lot of gays within their community now.
Hmm.
To be
which
honest,
is sad which is sad they did that for the movie because they could have showed more of what made Freddie work. Freddie Mercury was such a great performer. He was such a great front man, and they just said there's so much more of that they could have
Hmm.
showed. They could have showed
Also,
why he was the icon he was because he really was a great front man and he had a great voice. I think there's any style of music he wanted to sing, he could have done it. He wasn't just rock. He could do rock, pop. He had a little soul in him. Even at one point, he did a little opera. He was
oh,
such a consummate
no,
performer.
Hmm.
he was versatile along with the other members of the band. Now, another fact that the film got wrong was that Freddie and them they took a hiatus and each of them did their own side projects. It did not result in them breaking up the band temporarily because
Right.
again that's not true.
Right. Yeah, that was not true. They went off and did different things. That's true. That I noticed too was a contradiction. The film tried to make it look like that they had broke up because of problems, but it's just like you said. They went off and did solo things, and then they came back together again. But,
Yeah, because like what they needed was a break.
right. But there are some things about it I enjoy, but then there were a lot of inconsistencies with the film, so I can see why the band probably wasn't too happy with it. But like I said, I think it was played up to try to get this movie to get it. And at that time, the Oscars were now implementing that really stupid rule they have of you got too many straight white people, you're not going to get any kind of nomination. So I think they were trying to play
Yeah.
to the
Which is
Academy.
ironic because, like Dom said earlier, Freddie Mercury was bi.
Right? Yeah. That's what I heard a lot of people say when the movie came out. I did have a lot of people say that, just like you guys just expressed. They all said, "Hey, you guys got this wrong,"
And
and
this.
Yeah.
his sexuality was one
I
of
had to
them.
finish Elvis for one.
Mm.
Which
I
the
still need to watch Elvis.
The the Asa Butler Elvis.
yeah,
I need to finish
I
that.
I eventually saw it. It wasn't I think because I'm not an Elvis. Forgive me, maybe I wasn't born that year. I'm not an Elvis Presley fan. So
okay.
one day I just watched it just for watching it. And I just thought it was, I didn't know what was truth or not truth, but it was another film where there were just a lot of people said there were discrepancies in that movie as well. But Austin Butler's performance was pretty
It would,
good.
like I said, if my rule is give me 10% of embellishment and I'll be fine, or maybe even 20%. You know, might be some controversial changes for sure, but as long as you give me 90% of history that is correct, it's a fine biography or retelling of history. I'll
Mhm.
tell you what's not a retelling of history, but more of a revisionist history. Napoleon by Ridley Scott.
Oh yeah.
So
Somehow,
yeah,
somehow it
I
that
stick
movie
by what I
outdid
said
the
about
Woman
that
King.
fucker. Fuck Ridley Scott.
Oh yeah.
Again, somehow that movie outdid the Woman King in revisionist history.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nah, Gladiator did.
Yeah,
Napoleon
were-
was bad, and they made it look stupid and mundane compared to like the '70s Waterloo film. But the Woman King, you gotta understand what that was, what was going on at that time, and how they were really sugarcoating it and making it look like it was
sugar
okay.
coating.
They are. The
mhm.
woman,
I think it
Yeah,
was coated in blood.
Well, blood sugar.
oh my god.
Uh,
Oh my god.
yeah, they
Okay,
intentionally wanted it to be like that because they wanted more warrior women, even though they don't know how to write Athena, the Athena archetype of the female warrior. That
Played
is,
by Zendaya soon.
of course.
Oh,
the
I swear
good
she must be
lord.
in like more movies than she must be in just as much movies to this day as much as Pedro Pascal.
Oh god, yes. Oh my goodness. I have to agree with that final.
she at least tries her best with
I
the
know, I'll
voice
tell you why.
acting.
I'll tell you why.
Thank you. Thank you, Humble.
I'll tell you all why.
Go on.
Biracial is in. It's still, in fact, it's still in. It's been in at this point, but like, oh, it's in full force. Anybody who can look ambiguously brown is what they're looking for now. Even though Pedro Pascal we all know what his ethnicity really is. There's
Yeah.
no questioning that. Zendaya, on the other hand, again, no questioning on that, but she looks so very ambiguously brown that they're handpicking. Look at most of the light skinned actors that they're choosing these days. In fact,
Yeah, I
so,
see.
so
Mm-hmm.
biracial has always been a sought after flavor that they always like to pick, but yeah, they really are kicking in full gear this time
It's
around. Unless
Or
they
it's
find their
the one thing
super.
they won't admit, and that
Is
is they all made a big stink about this one guy because they weren't getting the roles they wanted and blamed the couch. He was running this angle of the casting couch. And they got rid of him. But yeah, you got rid of him, but the couch is still there.
Mm-hmm. And still being used.
oh yes.
it weird this whole thing sounds like a reality TV version of Game of Thrones?
That's an interesting way of putting it.
Except with a little less likable characters.
And
Game
then
of
insert
casting
astronaut
couch.
meme and always has been.
Yeah.
Even then, I don't even want to be living in that.
But what I'm saying is they'll keep writing that for a while until they get their next dark coffee.
Mm,
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's not just it's not good enough that you are maybe dark. You have to be mixed with something else. And I'm noticing that a lot. You just can't be one shade. You got to
And
be
you gotta
mixed with
be
something else.
neurodivergent.
neurodiver. Oh wait, they really want to put that in there?
Yeah,
Next,
it's look,
that's
it's the
the next
PC.
sprinkle.
It's the PC way. It's the PC way. The neurodivergent say. It's a political correct way to say they're mentally handicapped.
Oh, I know that. It's just that trying to glamorize something like that can have a bit of a backfiring edge to it. For example, the
Mhm.
fact that loud noises, overstimulation, even the fact, like, for example, you know how they had in the Garfield movie the mouse that would not come out of its trailer for a certain type of cheese without a certain type of cheese?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, take that, but turn it into life expectancy things. Like, for example, the noise canceling headset is only the light end. The really, really heavy end is trying to reach out to the person.
I'm not following, but okay.
Well, okay.
Take your time.
If this stream gets kicked off, I am very sorry, but the other extreme that they do not show on TV about autistic shutdown is the kids that cannot connect to people at all. They rock back and forth like they had some type of seizure. Sometimes they hit their head on walls.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I
Those
follow
are
you.
the ones that have been used for the PSAs when they decided vaccines caused Asperger's.
Interesting.
And every time I hear about that, I'm like, well, how would acting different actually cause donkey burgers? I can actually find that to be pretty confusing, but that is the catch-22 of when you glamorize something, you don't see the ugly end because they want to sweep it under the rug. Bill Cosby swept under the rug. Someone else, and someone
How
else
did vaccines
swept under
suddenly
the
give you
rug.
some kind of mental disorder?
I don't know, honestly. I don't really know. There's lots of times people who could probably make wilder imaginations than mine sound normal.
It's I don't know. I'm not the type who's looked into it, but the whole idea is one of their things is they look at before these things were introduced and mandated to after. Like,
Ooh.
what's the
Yeah.
effect going on here? Like, my, I'm not young and all, I'm near my parents, haha, but, even they mentioned before that became in full effect, you didn't see as much of mental health issues or anything during their time until, like, coming into the vaccines, it starts becoming a bigger thing. You start seeing the numbers go up. So,
Yeah.
is it the vaccines? I don't know. Or is it just because of how warped the household has become because of so and so, and even more with the advent of technology and how socially disconnected people are, where they
I,
can't even process a simple knock knock joke.
my money's on the disconnect, and I know it's kind of weird, but anyone who tried to speak out thinks Scrooge McDuck is the only philanthropist rich person no one goes after.
Oh, I'm just highlighting the comments. I'm not
Ah,
expecting you to read them.
sorry. I don't know.
Yeah,
The
but-
closest thing I could get to it that could have painted a clear picture of what some of the stuff looks like, whether it was race-based, disability-based, or just Harrison Bergeron. The society that wanted to stay super average to the point that they try to give people handicappers in order for the not so gifted to not feel bad.
I mean, and then I also forgot that one other thing they talk about that was introduced much like in the '60s and upward is like
Hmm.
all the crap they put in your food and drink, the hormones, the corn syrup, the overdose of all of that, and how that will affect a growing
Okay,
person's
little birdie, you can
chemistry.
read this one now.
Okay, they tried pushing darker skinned women, but when they found Zendaya, they quickly dropped them to focus on her. Yeah, that's pretty much
That's
it.
your new nick. That's your new nickname, Humble Birdie. Because every time I highlight something, you pick up on it like a parrot looking at something curiously.
Yeah, what
Like,
adding on
looking at the
online to
comment. If
Dark
I
Point.
linger on it enough, maybe then you'll read it. Maybe I'll just give you the signal to read it. But dang it, don't jump on it just yet. Like a mouse on peanut butter.
Well, that's a new one.
Well,
Also,
rats
But
and
yeah, I
mice
still
like
find
peanut
that's.
butter. I learned
But I,
that
s-
from the movie Wanted.
but
Using
yeah,
the
I still
guilt.
find that just like so curious that a vaccine somehow gives you a mental disorder that's usually associated with what's it, ADHD? Yeah, ADHD, because it is part of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Because
It
believe me when I say, because I've been diagnosed with this since I was like 6.
yeah, I
Oh, you poor
sa-
soul.
about the
You poor
same.
soul.
I got to hear about it when they did the conferences for autism, and my mom had to go to them for a. You could get at least one class credit for each one of them when you go to them. But the fun thing about those conferences is not the lectures, because the lectures can last a while. It's getting to look at all the different toys they put out there.
Really?
Yeah, they have a ton of resources now that they didn't back then, like puzzle toys, teaching aids, books.
Huh, the more you know.
Yeah.
And one other thing that also feels into this conspiracy, well, debate. I'll be fair, debate is ever since its uptake, it's really been a kind of a good money resource to for pharmaceutical and psychological.
Mm-hmm.
We
I don't know
already
what's
know
adding
how
on to the.
bad big pharma can be.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Adding on to that. I don't know what Dark bring up. Because with these vaccines mandated, like people, back then didn't do research of like how they were conducted, what was made, and if they actually went through the proper testing before, or that they were distributed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also the latest stuff with the COVID vaccines are good, but they're not actual vaccines. We're changing the term on what a vaccine is, and it might actually do more harm than good to you for the rest of your life. But we want you to take every new variation of it every now and again. We'll even start putting it in your flu injections
I know of
every
the
flu
topic
season.
meant reflecting on an important year of our time. But keep
Hmm.
going, guys.
It is still related to history, and that actually reminded me. I mean, of this one movie that I watched recently that covers like this aspect of history and medicine called Awakening with Robin Williams and Robert De Niro.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So it tells
Yes.
story. Oh, so you've seen it, Leah?
hmm It's been a while, but I do remember seeing it. But proceed and tell everyone about the story.
Well, to make it a long story short, Robin Williams plays Oliver Sacks, like who was hired into this hospital, and discovered De Niro's character, him and others were actually affected by this disease that occurred years ago, which pretty much rendered them as, asleep, if you will. Well, essentially, they couldn't really move or do anything until he discovered a new procedure. It essentially wakes them up after so long.
Yeah, it's been a while since I had seen it. So, but I think you're right about what's that about.
Yeah, but it
I
is
just
based on an
remember.
actual but it was based on an actual event where Oliver Sacks and his peers they actually discovered a procedure to essentially wake these people up after they were ravaged by this disease that affected them as kids years ago.
Yeah, I did read when the movie came out that it was based on an actual medical, yeah, a true event. So that's true.
And also, you can't help but imagine that that's essentially a fate worse than death.
Sure, it's true. I do agree with you on that.
You're
Like
like
I said,
you're aware what is happening around you, and you're still like getting older, but you can't really do anything.
yeah, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen it, so I wish I could go into more details with you with it, but it's been a while since I've seen it. But I am familiar with the story and that it was based on something that actually happened, and I thought that was quite fascinating. I wasn't too aware of the disease that made them go into this sort of sleep-like state. But still, the whole point of the movie is fascinating. But I don't have much to say on it because it's been a while since I've seen it.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Well,
Okay.
it was on Netflix, but unfortunately, it's not anymore. But I highly recommend watching Awakening because it does get you in the feels.
Dom, I had to switch it, but didn't you say you were going to touch a little bit on speaking of films about films from the 50s?
Or films set in the 50s.
Yeah.
Okay, not
We're
necessarily
about to
from
talk
the
about
50s.
the 50s decade in general, really.
Okay,
Well,
so you
an example of showcasing work of fiction set in that time period or otherwise is the first Back to the Future.
Mm.
yeah, you know what? I didn't think of it like that. You're right.
Hey, it didn't hold anything back, especially like the lingo as well as the terms that people like throw at each other, especially those toward like whites and blacks. Like I learned like spook and peckerwood, which were pejoratives that was thrown around by blacks and whites alike.
Hmm.
Yeah, when I saw the movie and my dad saw it, yeah, they had to explain to me what those terms meant. And he said, well, because they had been called some of those terms. So he said that that's what that means. And spook, and he told me that's what that means. But I wasn't offended because listen, if you're going to do a movie set in the 50s, you have to be true to the decade. Even if it's not pretty, even if it's not nice, even if it's seen injustice, but you still have to be true to the decade. So I wasn't bothered by that at all because I knew he was in the 1950s. And we know that the 50s was a decade before the civil rights movement. So you're not going to see them speak well of people of color as we have before we get into the late 60s.
But also the 50s was a period of optimism and looking into the future. And while it wasn't a 100% like peaceful time, but there was more to the 50s news than what media even at that time period was showcasing to people, especially those quote unquote historians, especially of the pop variety, where they try to like debunk like certain myths surrounding the 50s, but even they like get aspects of the 50s wrong.
Yeah. Because the 50s has always been more so of an idealistic time, at least in America anyway, because it's always in America anyway, that that they think, oh, it's like some kind of utopia, when no, it wasn't. It was just a rather idealistic time there. And it doesn't mean that it was all sunshine and rainbows, though, because here's the little truth about humanity. Humanity is rather flawed, and trying to find, because even when you find that state of happiness that you now have a job, or you now have a family and you have kids now, that you're not always going to be happy, because this is because life is always a state of or a series of ups and downs, and because happiness is not a perpetual state of being, because eventually when you have something that now you're free of something that was originally normal to you, something that's now new to you is now the new normal to you.
Well, final going along with you said the 50s was supposed to be. It was coming out of the war. It was coming out of the war. So people were trying to make some sort of living for themselves. You're very right about that. And it was reflected, I think it was reflected a lot in our culture, and it was reflected
Yeah.
through what we saw on television. I brought this up before. This was the decade that television was introduced. Most of the time before that, it was just movies, but now television had come into the culture. So what was reflected in our culture was reflected on television, and what
Hmm.
was reflected was you had a job, a home, two kids and a dog, and things were starting to grow and boom around this time. Some of that was reflected in the first couple of episodes of WandaVision, when Wanda placed herself. That's when, before it got stupid, the show, it placed herself in TV shows from the 50s, and they were bringing to life some of the 50s television
Which, by the
tropes.
concept itself, is already stupid because, again, all the heroes brought back for Endgame, and yet Vision's not there, even though everyone else is back. It shouldn't have even been a thing.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I know I've made that rant back in the past. I think it's like 2023, I think. But still,
Mhm.
it was still even dumb. But
I
I digress. We've already shit talked on Marvel a lot. There's really no use in beating the dead horse again.
I do. I agree with you, but I'll just say this, and I'll get back to my point. There are some people who are starting to see what we are talking about. I do have some people now who come to me and say, "You know what? I just realized the plot of Endgame was stupid." Even 5 or 6 years after it was released, they are now saying that. So maybe we touched a nerve somewhere. But getting back to Dom's point, um, I guess a lot of it again was reflected in television, and
Yeah, that's
television,
true.
yeah, was reflecting of, and in cinema as well, but mostly it
Oh
came
yes.
mostly it came from television when we got the Leave It to Beavers, and we got the and if I've got the wrong decade, somebody let me know, so I don't know too much about 50s television.
I
um
Love
Yeah.
Lucy.
yeah, I Love
Yeah.
Lucy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I Love
In
Lucy.
fact, the 50s were also huge with westerns. A lot of them.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh yes, there are some really good ones.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was also like during that time period is a often overlooked age of comic books called the Atomic Age, and yeah, look, people were bringing in their tip in like TVs, but also in that time period, like superhero fiction like was downplayed because like people were going out of it, and in the Atomic Age, it was a boom for crime
Yeah.
fiction, horror, fantasy, and sci-fi most definitely.
Yeah. Actually, that's now that you mention it, it's kind of weird that we go from Golden Age to Atomic Age somewhere in the middle before going straight
The
into
Silver Age.
Silver Age. Yeah.
Yeah, the sci-fi boom was big in the 50s. Before that, a lot of horror was big, mostly from the Universal monsters. But when we got into the 50s, it was more about sci-fi horror, aliens from outer space coming to eat us, or creatures
Invasion
born
of the Body
out of,
Snatchers, The Blob.
yeah. Yes, I was about to say that. Creatures born out of some sort of toxic waste or something, creatures or
Mutation.
aliens. Yeah, mutations, giant spiders and ants and all this kind of stuff. And like
Yeah.
Dom said, there's again, it was reflecting the culture. And in the comics, a lot of comics reflected that as well. And some characters that were created out of that age, and some storylines that were created from that age as well. When we got into that part of the culture in the 50s.
Now, now to briefly go back to the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like that remains a timeless classic to this day. Well, also what it touched on in that period was, of course, the Red Scare. And
Yeah.
according to pop history, the Red Scare was the Joseph McCarthy and people and like dissidents, they were unfairly labeled as communists or communist sympathizers. However, if people like go beyond pop history and go through the history books as well as online resources, and also like help from like our mutual friends of
Yeah. To
Rose
the
and
point.
Ichiro, we know that the Red Scare was more than it seemed, and the people that they were going after were actual communists.
Hmm.
Yeah, the bodies, even though as entertaining as it was some sort of reflection on communism and who is and who isn't, and who can you trust and who isn't. And you're right, it's a classic because to this day, that formula still is around. Sometimes, and you even heard me say it. I'll say a certain celebrity or someone will start talking, and the first thing, what do you say? Well, the pod people got them. The pod people came for him or her. You know, the body snatchers came and got for him or her. So that film made a big impact. And you're right, Dom. Still to this day, that film has an impact. That, and then it's been remade several times.
Hmm.
Um, the one with Donald Sutherland is another famous one. But the theme
That
of
movie
that
got
film,
remade so many times. Yes.
yeah,
It just shows you like how much of a timeless classic it is, in spite of the fact that like it was like based around like the environment of the Red Scare.
I remember Body Snatchers being my gateway to that film, actually.
but don't you think the reason I think the film has lasted is because that theme can be replaced with anything. The
Hmm.
Red Scare was the 50s. Now I
I
think for
didn't care
us,
for the invasion though, even though I'm now hearing that that's actually a pretty decent remake to Body Snatchers.
is that the one with Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig?
Yep.
Okay, that was all right. I'm not a Nicole Kidman fan. I think she's overrated as an actress, but I thought it was okay. And Daniel Craig is not in it too much.
I watched it. It
But
was boring.
yeah, yeah, I gotta agree with you on that. I do.
But looking
At least
back at
the
it now
original.
though, the reason why I found it boring was because trying to be it was trying to go in the grain of the unseen horror kind of thing, kind of like a they were going there. You were following them through an investigation of what was going on. That's what they were going. That's what they were playing up on the investigation aspect of it.
Hmm.
And yes, you had some actiony moments, but they were not really the focal point of the movie. The focal point of the movie was the fact that you were investigating with them. You were just in the dark as they were. You were also you also had no clue what was going on like they were. You knew it was a Body Snatchers remake for sure. Don't get it twisted, but the way how they framed it, it was you're framing they were framing it within their perspective for
Mm.
sure. And that was the key thing about that movie. That I think I could be wrong because I didn't finish that movie, but of what I was able to watch and what I was able to glean from it, that's kind of like my take from my assumption right there is that they were doing it in the perspective of the investigator's eyes, and they're on the ground doing their guerrilla action investigations, you know. And once again, like I said, they were in the dark just as much. We were in the dark just as they were.
Well, I can
But
tell you the ending is anticlimactic. Go ahead, Dom.
oh no, finish, no finish because like I was like we do need to tie this back into history.
Well, I was going to tell. Well, first of all, Wolf, you didn't have to finish. It was anticlimactic at the end, to be honest. And maybe
Mhm.
you have a point. Maybe it was trying to mix too many things at once. It's trying to be a horror movie. It's trying to be a mystery to solve, and then the audience is trying to think that the audience is in the dark as just as much as the lead characters were.
Mm.
I'll tell you what was really I'll tell you
It
what
just
was
didn't work for
also
me.
holding I'll tell you what was also holding the movie back. Daniel Craig and Nicole Kidman.
I was just about to say that. I have to agree with you.
They were
I have
not
to agree.
they were not a good pairing.
I
One of them had to be
agree.
replaced. One of them
Mhm.
or roles would have to been rearranged. Daniel Craig, to be all honestly, I'm gonna be really honest about Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig is really not a leading man at all. He got
I'm
lucky
realizing
with
that now.
James Bond. He got
Mhm.
very lucky with James Bond. He is best.
Uh,
I, you want to know how?
luckiest
You can thank
quotation.
Robert. thought Barbara Broccoli for that. But continue.
Well, the thing is, here's how I knew he was not a lead man. Knives Out.
Oh, yes, I have to agree
It
with you with that.
shows without the right director, he is not a leading man. And even when he does have a decent director, he is still not a leading man. That's why he plays second fiddle to Angelina Jolie in Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
It shows he is not a leading man. Like I said, he got lucky with James Bond. And I heard you, Dark. I heard you. That is
Me
quite
too.
that is quite an understatement, or even a downplay choice of words to put on such a man. But he is not a lead man at all.
No. He's not even really a good main support guy, as you mentioned with Lara Croft Tomb Raider, because the guy who played the villain just had way more going for him than he did.
That motherfucker was what he was in he was Isaacs in Resident Evil.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and he was just being cliche villain.
Until they fucked his ass in the last chapter.
Yeah,
Because I really did kind of like him in Extinction. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, you know what? From what I said in the stream, I might have changed my mind over the years about him. I might have not like. I probably said I didn't like him that much in the Resident Evil stream I did years ago. But looking back at it now, it's like you know what? He was actually the better villain out of else in that whole franchise. Even Wesker. Dare I say it? Even Wesker. Even though the second guy they got to play Wesker in Afterlife was the better actor than the one that they got for Extinction. I mean, the guy who played in Extinction looked the part. He actually was the better. He was actually the better designed one, so to speak. But the one who played him in Afterlife, he did the better acting. But yeah, we'll swing it back to. In fact, this is open topic. We could talk about anything we want, anyways. It's not necessarily just history. We're just bullet pointing at this point.
I was going to say that I'm not going to stay long on it because you pretty much touched every point about Daniel Craig. Because when he became Bond, I went to the movies to give him a chance. And out of his reign, there are two good ones. Skyfall and Casino Royale are pretty good. But everything out of that sucks really bad. Even Knives Out, although I went to see the movie for another person, everybody knows. But still, Knives Out is like, God, I'm getting bored by Daniel Craig in this film. And I think that's why now he is struggling. If you notice now, he's not the leading man anymore in any movies. He is struggling now, and I heard the reason Bond works so good is because Miss Broccoli or Broccoli, whatever her name is, made sure he was treated very well. And I read that she personally called him, rumor, but I'm just saying, to her office specifically, so she could school him everything about what it means to be Bond, and you can take that any way you want. But now, if you guys notice, he's struggling. He really cannot be a leading man. And I even heard now, I heard that he was supposed to be in this movie for DC, but he's been kicked out for his name slipped my mind that fast. The guy that played the Penguin.
Danny DeVito?
The new
Colin
one.
Farrell.
Colin Farrell. It's another DC comic character, but they want Colin Farrell. They don't want Daniel Craig. So you're right, Wolf. he just got lucky, but
Which
says
a lot compared to the other Bond actors who actually can hold their own.
Oh yes.
I mean, look at Pierce Brosnan. Like he should have continued on as Bond.
Yeah, for a while. The real replacement, I know everybody was saying like Gerard Butler. Butler was good, but it's hard to understand him when he's got that deep voice and he starts going.
His thick accent. He's Scottish or Irish?
Yeah. But the big one I really wanted to see at that time when they were talking about who's going to be the new Bond, who's going to be Clive Owen.
Ooh, you're right.
And
Yeah.
and he showed off in that reboot Pink Panther, which it was a thing. But in that one scene where he's playing a secret James Bond agent in that casino, and he just shows his chops there, like he should have been James Bond. Should
The
have,
problem
no
with
doubt.
Clive Owen, I don't
What?
do sequels.
Okay, Clive. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, he would if it was good enough.
Yes.
I
And
don't
Bond is
know.
the sequel
Have
to,
you
like,
seen him in any good sequels?
I haven't seen him in anything lately.
No, no. Technically, let's get that out there. Have you actually
Okay.
seen, like you said, if a sequel was good, he'll be in it. Have you actually seen him in a good sequel to a movie that he was in? Because he sure as shit didn't show up in
that
Sin City.
prequel of Sin City.
No, he didn't show up in that one.
I thought he showed up at the end of Dwight's story after he got
Nope.
the plastic surgery to look
Nope.
like what
That
we
wasn't
saw in
him.
the
That was
first one.
Brolin with Clive Owen makeup on. Didn't even change his voice at all either. I thought, bro, I was like, what the fuck is this guy? Is that Josh Brolin trying to look like Clive Owen?
I don't know.
Why couldn't they get? Now I learned.
I mean-
Cinema Snob, a friend of Cinema Snobs, that Clive Owen don't do sequels. Like, wait, what? Why? Like, this motherfucker is that pretentious?
Maybe, but then again, he was interested in doing it, and that would have required sequels. So I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know either. Like, that man will say some shit, and I'm like, well, I haven't seen him in any sequels of anything he's been in, so I guess it checks out.
Well, a lot of them don't even need sequels. Like, who wants to see a sequel to Children of Men? I don't think it needed a sequel.
Or King Arthur.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
That story's already told.
Of course, a sequel could maybe happen with that the gun movie with the baby. But then again, that was
That
good
would've
as a
been-
solo.
You know, it'd been real funny if in King Arthur Legend of the Sword, Clive Owen would make an appearance, and King Arthur of that movie be like, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm King Arthur." No, I'm King Arthur Arturius.
Speaking of which, Final, did you see the video I sent you?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay. What'd you think? That guy's I'm gonna say more, but he has a whole series, and it's fantastic. It is. I've never seen anybody break down the Arthurian legend the way he does on Mythical Arcane.
I gotta look that up.
You have to. It is a wonderful series. This guy did a fantastic job. I'm going to post more because wait till I post the videos about his breakdown of the Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah,
It is
so far he's done at least like 2 or 3. Because the one that I've watched first, and the one that I actually found the most interesting was Sir Tristan, and then the recent one that he done was Sir Galahad. Or no, not Sir Galahad. Sir
Throw
Gawain.
y'all wet panties
Yes.
aside.
You got to
Damn.
watch. Oh, that Sir Tristan one is that one has got to be one of the. I don't know if that's the best one, but that was. There was more in that video than I didn't even know about with Sir Tristan. That was a good breakdown of that night. Just really
Yeah,
fascinating.
first thing I looked at him, and I looked at the title, said The Tragedy of Sir Tristan. I was like, wait, wasn't that King Arthur's stepbrother? And I was like, oh wait, no, that's Sir Kay.
Right.
Sir Tristan's a wholly different guy.
Yeah, he was a totally
you
different.
about to make me air smack you upside your head for that.
I was confusing the two.
Yeah, exactly. That's a rookie
Well-
mistake right there.
Well, since you guys are bringing up like King Arthur. Well, since you guys are bringing up King Arthur and the matters of Britain, does anyone wonder like how that particular period of time been portrayed in fiction, especially the King Arthur?
So many times in so many weird ways.
There's been so many films. Well, I think Excalibur is a classic. I saw that when I was young, and I own it.
Hey.
I have it physical media. I think it's a classic. Is it
Hey,
perfect?
yeah.
this adaptation is King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
No
well,
problem.
but for context, like
Okay,
in
okay.
as time went by, especially in recent history, like works of fiction have been showing portraying King Arthur at rather either antagonistic or straight up villainous.
Yeah, it's usually that's in favor of the Lancelot and Guinevere love triangle thing.
Yeah, and the guy did. I don't know. Did you? Final. I don't know if you got a chance to see the video on that. He did break that down.
I have seen the video on that,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I already was aware of like some debate at that because of Schologrim actually made a whole reaction video on a King Arthur show. I forgot what it was. I think it was like 2019. I think where
Merlin.
Merlin.
Yeah, I think it's. Is it? I think it's Maryland.
It might have not
maybe
been Merlin though. It might
Wait,
not.
no,
yeah
no, no,
it
no, no,
probably
not Merlin. No, no, because an example of Arthur being portrayed in an antagonistic fashion is actually in Wizards, which came after Troll Hunter as well as Three Below.
God, I hate that series now because of those.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, but
Like ever since
another one is
when
once.
Three Below came up, I was like, I'm done with this series. I'm confused. Confused, I tell you. I'm so sick and tired of when every time they make a new season, they have to retitle it as a different show. Man, I was like, bro, I never had this problem with Alien Rangers. I knew Alien Rangers was a spin-off, even though it was touted as a season. But this is too weird.
Well, just be glad you didn't watch Wizards because you would have been seething at how that series portrayed King Arthur.
Mhm.
Yeah. But anyway, I saw that on Schologrim's video that there have been like some historical documents that was Arthur a real person or whatnot. There's always been like this one person that was named Arthur, that he wasn't actually a king yet, that something at least inspired the legend. And it was just from him alone. All the stuff with the magic and all the wizards and the sorceresses that are normally involved in his world that didn't happen yet, those happen in the legend. So there's no quest for the Holy Grail. The other Knights of the Round Table get added later. The Guinevere and Lancelot romance, that's also added later. That would be added to the legend. And seeing this whole breakdown of all this, that's what I call dedication.
What did you think? Yeah, what did you think of how Mythical Arcane did his take in the video you saw that you watched? His take, because I think he covered just as much of it as he could. He covered myth. He covered how it got started. He covered it's according to you talk to, and how Arthur is portrayed in the video in his take on the video. Because I thought he did a great job. I don't know what you thought about it, but I thought the guy did a great job in going with what we know, and then him saying
very in depth. Because like I said,
yeah.
it's very dedicated. What I call dedication.
Yeah, he was very dedicated to telling that story. And he went with what we know, and then he went with historical documents and how that got turned into the legend. So I found that to be quite fascinating. I personally feel, I'm going to be honest, and I put in the comments, I think this guy's work should be some sort of film or miniseries the way this guy broke it down. I really think how he did it and how he broke it down, a lot of people would really enjoy with the story. As far as different movies are concerned, there's been so many takes on it. Excalibur still is heavy in my head for its time. I think it was made in 1980, 81. Still not bad in its storytelling. The video even talks about the Lady of the Lake, which I thought was fascinating too. I didn't know that much about
he
her.
only mentions the Lady of the Lake very briefly, because the sword that he had that originally was supposed to be the flaming sword, that would later become the Excalibur, which then again that would later come into the legends, because it wasn't actually called the Excalibur in the history.
You all also realize when you learn more of Morgan Le Fay, you see that she is not she's not how media like portrayed her from film from literature to even in gaming.
What did they? What did they portray her as?
The power hungry sorceress.
Hmm.
Yes,
Oh,
the
that one.
evil, power hungry. Yes, she's supposed to be a dark sorceress of the dark arts. Is how she's portrayed.
Yeah,
Um,
she's not.
what, what was the other night video that you saw? Final. You saw Sir Tristan.
Sir Gawain.
Sir Gawain. Yeah, I just
Yeah,
finished
so
that one.
Sir Tristan first,
Okay.
and Sir Gawain and the Green Knight was the very recent one that he's done. He's also done the whole story on the Holy Grail, which that's actually a big moment for Sir Galahad the Pure.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I've got to get
I'm
to
bad
that
at
one.
this. How you pronounce his name?
Wait, Sir Galahad?
Yeah,
Isn't that what it's? Isn't that his name, Sir Galahad?
it is, but I just don't like the way how he says it.
What does he want him to say? Look, you just won't let Final rest easy, will you?
I mean, what's so wrong with it?
Yeah,
It's
that's
always
his name.
Galahad in my mind, and my fucking perfectionist mind is always tingling every time I hear it said like that. That's just me. That's just me. It's always Galahad in my mind.
Okay.
I've got to get to that's the next one, the quest for the Holy Grail. I got to get to that one next. I just recently finished so Gawain, was it Gawain? So
Yeah, Sir
Gawain?
Gawain.
Gawain. Okay, I just finished his story, and the Green Knight's Tale. And again, the way this guy breaks this stuff down is just it is just really good. He really did, like you said, the dedication homework, especially for each night. Each one of these guys can kind of have their own story. I said, wow, man, I would love to see a mini series based on that because the story is told so well from the beginnings. It's not just that story. It tells him the story about him and the witch lady that turned out to be a beautiful woman, and then also his faults, his downfall, his pride was part of his downfall. Just a really good pure storytelling. So, me, we guys, if you haven't seen I'll try to post it in the video, but I've never I've
Posted
never
in the
heard
group,
anybody.
you're an admin there, I think.
Okay, I'll try to make sure everybody gets a chance to watch it if you choose to. If the mythology of King Arthur is not your thing, but the way this guy just breaks it down is just I've never seen anybody finals right break it down in great storytelling and voice work like he does. It's like this could be a movie. This could be a really good movie. And what I mean by that, telling the stories of the other knights as well. So he goes into more than you think you know. Because Sir Gawain, a lot of the stuff in his storytelling I didn't even know about. So this guy must
From
have
the way
really
it
did
tells
his
it, kind of
homework.
reminds me of just from the narration alone, kind of reminds me of how Ian Holm did the narration for the Great Greek Myths and the Iliad, which those were really freaking cool. Though sadly the animation, the silhouette animations for that are not there. But but that's still really cool though. I really
Yeah,
love the way he narrates a lot of the stuff.
you're right. That's a good comparison. Watching this was like when we were watching the way he broke down the great Greek mythology stories and then the Iliad. Same feelings, done the same way. Except this guy uses a lot of AI, but the AI works. But his story, the way he tells the story of the knights is really good. And that's why when I was finished watching it, I was like, wow, this could really be a motion picture. Yeah, and the tragedy of Sir Tristan is very emotional. That's probably the most emotional story in that
Oh,
one.
Tristan and Isolde.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's in the video. Yeah,
I thought it was
yeah.
Isolde.
But it's not told. There's more to it. He goes in more in depth than what I know about it. He goes more into in depth, so it goes into how the whole thing developed that I knew about it. So that was fascinating to me. But Humble sounds like you're familiar with the story, so you may be more familiar with it than I was. But the way he broke it down, it went from you said got to go all the way back until this from the beginning till now, is great storytelling.
Tristan
and
and
Isolde.
Isolde was the original Romeo and Juliet.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Good movie, by the way.
I got that
Yep.
vibe. I got that vibe. Yeah, final. I got that
Haven't
vibe
watched
in the
it yet.
video. Yeah, that's the vibe I got in the video of the tragedy of. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
I'd used that. I'd used that. I had used that as inspiration once to name like some dragon in college.
Of course.
Dragon in
Good on you.
college.
Good on you.
Well, our horrifying class was modern art. Some people would go to puppy therapy. Me, I watched old cartoons from the 2000s.
Not bad. Not bad. Final. He even has videos on mythical beast of the Arthurian legends. I can't wait to do that. Listen to
those
that.
are fun.
And the Black Knight mythology. I'm going to watch that video next because I'm very
I should look
fascinated.
at the Exploring channel.
Does this person try to go into the original legends before the more famous Thomas Mallory interpretations? Which, if I recall right, he was kind of regarded as a bit of a zealot, and that's why he used a more Christian theme in interpretation additions into his more streamlined I'm getting my words mixed up. It's early morning. His compiling of the Arthurian legend, which he did not create, but go back as far as like the Celtic times.
Yes.
Well, he goes, like I said, when I first started watching the video series, it seems like he goes like from the beginning. I don't know how the best way I could describe it. Because he brought up myths and ideas and characters I had never heard
In short,
before.
probably no.
Detroit.
Yeah. Especially about the myth.
Probably yes, probably no. You will have to wait till he drops another video.
Yeah, he's dropping another one soon. He's got a whole bunch of he dropped Black Knight. Sir Gawain is a new one he recently dropped, and he dropped one about the Black Knight, and one he calls Mythical Beast of the Arthurian Legend. And I'm very curious to watch those. I can't remember all of the names. Humble seems like she's familiar with some of them. I don't know if she is.
Yeah, a few of them. There was the questing beast. The heraldic symbols are also part of the Arthurian legend. At one point, King Arthur had gotten a bunch of pagans as part of his country, and they wanted to worship him like a god.
That is true.
He destroyed the statue like King Kong smashes cities.
Wasn't Gawain the one knight that died the way Samson died? Was through a woman?
No.
No.
Final didn't Gawain die in battle? Final at the end of the video, did he say he died in battle?
It's that
There
I
was
can't
one-
remember. I need to look back at the tale.
There was one
Okay.
knight that got.
don't-
There was one of King Arthur's knights that got wounded, and he was in bed for days to a month, and then
I thought he died from a wound from Mordred in the war.
Oh,
Well,
that's
thing
how
was-
King Arthur died.
Yeah.
no. The thing is, what I'm trying to say is, one of the knights was laying in bed. He was wounded, and he was holding out for a boat to come by, but
That's Sir Tristan's story.
right, it had
Yeah.
been Tristan, because I remember Tristan dying that way. And
I'm
I
pretty
feel
sure he
bad for
died
him.
the same way Arthur did. He died in the war against Mordred, and
But what I'm
Mordred
saying
put the
is-
wound on him.
When he passed away, I whispered to myself, "Stupid bitch." This was me reading this story in middle school, and that was my takeaway of that story. I was like, "Stupid bitch."
Who?
Man's dead because of you.
No, you have see. I gotta make sure. I gotta send the video to you, Wolf. Finals, watch the video.
She straight up told him. She straight up told him a fucking lie. He passed. He straight up died. I was like, you could have saved his life.
Yeah.
Then again, that was one of our school textbooks. So I'm pretty sure I'm reading revisionism.
According to the video, and Final has seen the video. Final, let me know if I'm getting it mixed up. We watched the video. Tristan had a mortal wound that was laced with poison, and he lay dying. And Isola had the ability to heal, and the only way she could save him was Isola, but she was far away, I think, in Ireland. So they got message to her to come to him, and here's how he knew she would be there. If she was coming, the sails of the ship would be white. If she wasn't coming, the sails of the ship would be dark.
Yep.
Well, as he lay dying, I guess a woman he married, his ex-wife, was by his side, but all he did was call out for Isola. He said Isola was his true love. Well, that
That's
woman
what I'm
didn't like
talking
that.
about.
Yep, she did not. Right, the wife. So she lied to him, even though everybody said it was coming, it was white. She lied to him and said, "No, they are black."
And that's why I said stupid bitch.
And I agree with you 100%.
It's like that was my whole takeaway after reading that story.
I was
reading that story. I was like,
kind of takes off from Theseus in the Greek myth, because didn't that end with his after he left his father to go deal with the Minotaur? His father, believing that he might not return, told him, "Sail white sails upon your arrival, so that I know you are alive."
Mhm.
And if you are not, black sails be hoisted, so that I know you are dead, and I will join you in the underworld. And he
Yes.
accidentally forgot to put up the white sails because he had the head of the Minotaur wrapped in the white, and forgot all about it. And his dad jumped into the sea.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
I hate to laugh, but that is fucking hilarious.
That's
Oh, you know something. Every single time when it comes to Greek tragedies, I always laugh because it's something. I don't think they're kind of. I don't think their intent is to be a black comedy, but man, do I laugh at them because they're a fucking black comedy. At least the way how Dark says it sounds like a black comedy.
It's true. But either way he describes it, it is very true. But you're right
It's like,
about it.
bro, that is one mistake you should never have made.
Oh my
Like,
God. Yeah, that's so tragic in a way.
I was like,
Yeah.
bro, like even then you're using white sails. Like you don't use no damn white for red. It's like there could be children around. Once you present the head, you don't want to be around all that carnage. Theseus, you're a hero, but man, do you suck when it comes to brains? But then again, he's probably the ultimate like beef hero that's like all brawn, no brains. But then again, they did have to give him some tools to fight this motherfucker.
Well,
You know,
he
I
did.
mean,
He
when you
needed it.
Thanks to the Minotaur's own
Well, the
sister.
thing is, when you really think about it, that motherfucker was so dumb. He probably couldn't fight that motherfucker in the dark. I mean, think about it. The motherfucker had to have a thread, a knife. Well, they gave him a knife and told him best of luck, and because he was put into he was basically putting him into a no-win situation with the Minotaur. So they gave him a fucking knife, but she gave him a thread so he could find his way around the damn maze. And
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you didn't think to grab a damn stone and carve a scratch on one of the walls?
Yeah,
Like-
and that same woman who helped him survive with the Fred and helped him slay her own brother and betray her own kingdom, yeah, he banged her and dumped her on an island and abandoned her for whatever fate. So he's
Pretty
kind of a
much.
dick.
He
Yeah,
was
he
all
pretty-
brawn and no brains. He
Brain.
had the princess. He had the kingdom, and he threw that shit all away.
Yeah.
Man, Theseus, you a dumb fuck. No wonder I don't follow you exactly. You know what? Hercules have his own shortcomings, but you know what? I'll still stay by why I idolize that motherfucker.
I guess it's. I guess Hades, the first Hades game, portrays Theseus more accurately, where he's kind of a brash asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of
I
the
still
few
can't get past that motherfucker
points
too,
where
which
the
is
woman
funny.
isn't the bad person in a love desire relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he actually became the subverted hero.
Yeah.
It's honestly a blessing in disguise that none of these people like know this one rather obscure like Greek tale in the Greek mythologies, and that is Canis.
Who?
Canis essentially she well depending on which version you read, she
You mean
either
kindness?
yes Canis either
Uh,
she was in a relationship with Poseidon or she was date raped by Poseidon. And essentially, again, depending on which one you read, she transforms into a man who gains an vulnerable and form with superhuman strength. However, like even in this new form, for when she was in like he fell in battle. He fell after he was a lot of trees. Yeah, a lot of logs like would like trampled upon him, and but in the end, he trans well he she transforms back into her original form, but in the form of a large bird.
okay,
Oh.
apparently he's a furry.
Well, I said like hey kindness. She returned into her original but as a giant bird.
I know, but you kind of fumbled your way over there,
It's been a while since I read that story, but like I said,
and it
it's a
shows.
blessing. The point is, it's a blessing in disguise that none of today's quote unquote creators like don't know that one
Thank God they don't.
They might,
because
yes.
they would have ruined or like kindness because what she had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
They'll
That's
turn her
probably
into a
make her
girl
change.
boss. Oh
No, they
yeah.
probably make her change.
Not just the girl boss, but pretty much a caricature. They want to tie her to the transsexuals.
Yeah, like Wolf
Mm,
just said. Yep, Wolf's right.
Yeah.
Why would anyone want to keep trying to tie anything to that?
because they want to get rid of the concept of genders, or at least what they call a concept of gender identity.
You know, if they get rid of that, they actually are getting rid of that gender identity thing they love so much.
Well,
Yeah, but also
have to really. They have to get.
yeah,
They
but
want if they want to be non-labeled. That's why they cling on to the non-binary thing all the time
it's bull
because
crap
that
because they're trying to get rid of androgyny.
that too.
Yeah.
But really, what they're really trying to do is they're trying to get away with identity theft
Hmm.
Yeah. Because
and basically just criminality in general. They're trying to get away with all kind of crimes so that they cannot
Hmm.
be identified. In particular, we've heard people say this all the time in recent years, is that if think about it like this. Think about it like this. If one of these assholes broke into your house and you try to identify them, but then when the people try to identify them indir- indirect directly, excuse me, identify them directly, they'll tell them, "I'm not that," and really, and if the law acquiesces to that bullshit, then they can't really tie them to a crime.
No, the crime will end up being tied to their names and their dead
Anybody could be,
name and
yeah,
their
anybody
DNA.
could be, yeah. Well, yeah, that's also true. If you tie it to the DNA, sure, but no, what they really trying to do is remove all labels so that they can do whatever they what they like and not be labeled.
That's a fact.
They-
Do whatever they, or whoever they like.
And then they wouldn't be able to go back to that because, like you said, slippery slope. They wouldn't be able to hide behind that for protection.
Uh-huh. They can try.
Oh,
They
they
can
will. They
they can
will try.
try, but they won't succeed.
They're not going to
Plus,
succeed.
They could try.
exactly, and they
Only
yet
a
they
trans
wonder.
deals in absolutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yet these people wonder why other gay people, as well as actual transsexuals, keep their distance from the quote unquote community.
See, the gays of old and the gays of back then, in late 2000s, we never really worried about whether you're a girl or a boy because you're already there. You're already comfortable there at that point. If you're gay, you're a dude. You're gonna be a dude. There was never no need, no. Even when you were a transsexual, the thing is the procedures was limited towards those that were already adult enough to want to do that. And even then, half of them didn't do it because they had most of them didn't even do it because they had gender dysphoria. They just wanted to be, if you're a man, you wanted to be a man, be a woman. If you were a woman, you wanted to be a man. It wasn't there was barely any talks of gender dysphoria at the point. Frankly, dare I say it, gender dysphoria also sounds like a more made up term. Now I know that Blair White uh, talks about it as a medical term, yes, but I can't help but feel like it's a made up medical term at times because I don't think there was hardly any people talking about that type of stuff when there were transsexuals and of course transvestites and intersex people that were rare as they were out there or at least well known in whatever small community that they happen to be in or happen to be part of. Not that community, the community that we're dealing with today. I'm talking about communities as in around amongst normal people.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were amongst normal people, that's the thing that bugs me. It's like back then we didn't have this. They were they were creating a problem that never existed in the first place. And for sure, yes, we've had our controversy. We had our disagreements. We had our issues where there were violent attacks. There were violent pushbacks or violent outbursts from the opposition. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to ignore that. But at the end of the day, there was never no confusion, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. And we'll go back to the transvestites. That was pretty much a synonym for a cross dresser, be it a man cross dressing as a woman or a woman
Mm-hmm.
cross dressing as a man.
And
Yeah,
Yeah,
nowadays,
basically an androgynous dude.
no,
or
no, no,
an androgynous. Well,
no, two different things.
yeah, that's too different
Oh.
because even like when androgynous men and androgynous women, they are still
I'll give
like
you
a
a
man
visual
and a woman.
representation of the androgyny final. Any character out
Okay.
well, any character after Jonathan and Joseph Joestar is androgynous. Oh, okay. After Joe Turo, actually, Joe Turo, they're more androgynous. Just look at any
Okay.
But
character after Joe Turo.
But
well, like for example, like Narancha from Vento Ario, Golden Wind.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Uh,
he's androgynous, but you can tell that him and the others of Passione, Giorno's group, they are dudes.
yeah, I'll give you a bigger outlier, a very prominent outlier, Prince
Mm-hmm.
or
Mhm.
Jay Davidson from Raw from Stargate,
That's true.
or even dare I say it, the Ziggy Stardust himself,
Mm.
David.
uh,
He was
David
very.
Bowie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
also Also, like, there's the androgynous women on the opposite side, from Tilda Swinton to Annie Lennox of the Eurythmics.
Mhm.
Mm.
Oh yeah, definitely her. Definitely her.
But one thing you said interesting. You're bringing up that we never had this stuff before, and you're talking about that, and it kind of just reminded me of this thing, which I'm kind of curving it back to the whole vaccine stuff. This is more of a conspiracy thing. I remember people talking about in
Mhm.
some parts that you know when they think of all the shit in the food and the vaccines, messing with people's minds.
Mhm.
What is one thing that a lot of these people do with big pharma and psychiatry? They lean into this, the rainbow groups and the trans stuff, but they get into people's head. And how do you get more easily into people's head is if they're of a weakened state of mind, and they prey on these children. Yes, very much the children. That's why they're always focused on the children who
Mhm.
are
Hmm.
have all these ADHDs, Aspergers, or whatever, and look where that goes. They make them think that they're not what they are, or they make them believe they can easily be something else with surgeries and drugs.
They're
Hmm.
tell they're
Instead of like
telling this, but
acknowledging
not
that these
not allowing the parents to tell them this.
Mm,
right, right,
but
and
essentially,
all the
they've
fact,
just weakened people in generations, as some people would go on it with thinking it's all one big
That
thing.
always pisses me off nowadays is that they're stealing. This is what groomers and many cultists do to the children, towards the
Mm,
children
hmm,
when it comes to the
very
parents. They
much.
separate them from their parents, regardless of how the kids feel about their parents, regardless of how good of a parent is. The parent is still the parent. You didn't give birth to that child. You don't tell a parent what to do with their child unless you are helping them be a better parent. You're not supposed to be medicating their child until you have the medical proof and the right testing to administer the medication to your child, and you and at the age the child is, depending on the age of the child, you get the parents' approval. Quote they're the quoted, not quote unquote quoted, legal guardian of that child.
mm. And
It is
that's
it
the
is
thing.
also said on that child's birth certificate who their parents are,
Yeah.
if they are not adopted, mind you.
Mhm.
You
And
are not to be
that's the
telling
thing.
a
You hit
parent
it
what to do
right
with their
there.
child.
It's cult. I mean, we all
Hmm.
know the cult. Jim Jones, Manson, all that. It's
And
cultic
there was even
leftism. And
oh yeah,
the
there
difference
was even a
between
cult here in
Jim
Oregon.
Jones and Manson is it was just religion or some screwed up philosophy. This cult is essentially, they got the rubber stamp of the judicial and federal behind them.
Hmm.
It's a legalized cult, and they're out for everybody.
Regardless of where you came from or where you lean politically, they go after any and everyone.
But here's this. The reason why they're doing that is, of course, as I always called it years ago when we done this so many times. It's they believe in an extinction level event and they want to see it come true, but they will also want to see themselves to live to see it. But the reason why they're so hell bent on doing it so fast and so fiercely is because too many times they have tried it and they kept failing. They keep trying. They're basically insane at this point, but they still want to keep trying. They want the human race dead, and they want the planet to retake everything humanity has built, right?
Hmm.
But they
Well,
want to be in the
right,
place of
quick
it.
correction. They want the world to end as it is now, but they want their version of humanity and the world to come out from the destruction.
Which sounds like something that Karl Marx and his ilk has talked about.
Hmm.
Did Wolf just disappear? Oh,
Uh,
Oh boy.
he,
Oh, crud.
Oh,
His planet called him. He had to return.
oh my God. Darn. Oh my
No,
God.
but this like ties back into well, like the lore of communism and socialism, especially how those two have infiltrated America, not just America, but other parts of the West, like through Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
definitely.
and again, like with pop history, they try to want to paint like the Red Scare of McCarthy as does fear mongering, but again, when you look beyond pop history, you realize they that they weren't true.
And that's the thing. That one other also interesting thing. They do want the world to end, but it's not just everyone. It's the pawn and the masters, and they manipulate the pawns. They perverse them. They have them do all the dirty work. The world ends, and everybody believes, well, we're all dead and we're doomed. But the masters, they always keep the safety. The safety bunkers, the ships, whatever for them. That's why all these people who are ringling with the money, they always have a get out. They always have something.
Hmm.
The rest, they have nothing. They're just pawns, and they they die like them too.
No, absolutely. I agree. I was just going to say, and again, I could be wrong about this, it's just my opinion, but the rise of the transgender to me was sort of a way to cut down on masculinity. I just feel
Mm,
like masculinity
And
is
femininity.
so,
And
yeah.
femininity. Because here's the
Oh,
thing, Leia.
mhm.
Because the reason why they like to create those, because Wells already said so that they can try to switch between different identities, what they try to identify as with a gender identity. Those two words do not go well together, and I hate it that it does. And because they want to get rid of the gender binary, because they think capitalism was the one that invented that, even though it didn't. It's been there since the dawn of time. Get with the program, guys.
I agree.
but
I
it's
figured it
also a
had to be
little more
something.
than that too. Just not greatly, but a little seasoning sprinkle on top is it's also population control.
Hmm.
They want, and you're seeing it in Europe, and that they're
Hmm.
making sure that the generations of the actual people are limited, and who's going to overrun it in that the people they're having influx, the destabilizers, the people they
Uh,
want.
hmm.
I think there's truth to that too. You're both right, and you're both right in every way. I always feel like it's like a downplaying of femininity because Dom, when you were going to talk about the 50s, one of the things I was going to notice when I look back at 50s television film is women were so feminine back then. They were so much more feminine. You know, your nails are done and their hair and their makeup, and it's just a femininity we don't see now that I still admire.
Mm,
We don't
Yeah,
have it
and
now. They got women so they got us so ugly and masculine like. But back then in the 50s, they were just it was womanly.
yeah,
mm.
and
I
boys and men like were dapper. Like
Hold on.
even
Oh,
after
go on.
the
You've been trying to say something for a while, so go on.
that's fair.
I'd been seeing it make a comeback though.
Yeah, yeah, no, I've been noticing it too. Which I was going to bring up, like even after the Roaring Twenties like came to an end, and like in the 50s as well as the 60s, like men and boys like of all races, like they would still wear the zoot suits.
Hmm.
Like for example, one of their time either Rehab had a magazine out and she was in 80s makeup. You know, the big hair,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
loud eyeliner. Well,
Among other things.
eyeshadow, I should say, but you get my point.
Yes, I got you.
Yep.
Well,
And
I
mm,
continue. No,
one of
continue.
the things that my grandmother also put out is that fashion trends go in 10-year cycles. Like, for example, the roaring 20s, you had the flapper skirts, and during that time when economic times were tough, the skirts got shorter for practicality and just because someone thought it was hot.
Mm-hmm.
And when the and when you were getting into better economic times, the skirts got a little bit longer, kind of like in the 50s.
Yep. And that was actually covered in my fashion history class.
Hmm.
Yeah, you've got a point there. I hope it
Yeah.
is making a comeback. Like as you say, humble. I would like to, and you're right. Your grandmother's right about fashion trends. Every decade we get something new, and now I heard that trends are coming back from the '80s.
Mm.
Denim, different
Mm-hmm.
types of denim are now making their comeback. Brands, Levi's jeans are now picking up, and other kind of brands are picking up. So that '80s style of fashion is coming back in, which I hope so. I would like to see more femininity come back.
And we still have that spontaneous thing. Like for example, for a while that was trendy to wear armor, which was only stuck on the fashion line and which was only stuck on the fashion runway. It didn't make it fully onto the department store floors unless it was something that someone could do at home.
And people. Excuse me. Almost got tongue tied. Of course, people like remember the shoulder pads. That's especially like for women's coats and jackets.
Hmm.
No, I
Which
remember
I,
that.
oh yeah, which I will say actually for the '80s, yeah, like they vary. Right. However, like even like when the '80s was starting, like a lot of the fashion from the '70s actually carried over.
Oh yeah, it did. Some of it did carry over.
Yeah, so it's essentially like in the '80s, like it wasn't always like people like women they were wearing their gym clothes go like out in public along with their regular clothes or guys like wearing their jackets or even like bikers like all the time.
Well, I certainly hope they do make a comeback. I would like to see femininity make a comeback again, and masculinity to try to make a comeback. I'm getting tired of it. I am so fed up with not seeing masculinity and femininity as well. So I do hope that kind of femininity does start to make a comeback because I do miss it, and I'm just tired of this playing down of it. And I just think for years we've just lived under this umbrella that masculinity has been played down or it's negative. Because, like I said before, I do think the term
It's not
toxic
just
masculinity.
masculinity. It's really just like I said, the whole gender binary thing. Because
Yeah.
actually, I think Wolf said that back in 2020. I think that they used to hate labels once upon a time, and now they're suddenly in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
They're
I
drowning in it now.
I've noticed that. Well, actually, one of the YouTubers I've listened to off and on was Adam Post, and one of the news articles he covered was Bud Light was pulling out of pride parades.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess the Santa Fe, according to the news article, was one of their biggest pride events in the world. But thanks to a PR lady, and they decided to get Dylan Mulvaney, who loves attention
Yes. I don't even.
beyond anything else, and just happened to be one of the most bizarre characters. And I can now kind of see why women really hated Dylan. Like, for one thing, Dylan decided to film themselves crying in front of the camera, and it just sounded like a guy in front of a camera. But then you look, and Dylan had went through the whole 9 yards of the transition. And it's like you're stuck in the uncanny valley, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
But that is Dylan's choice. And when the PR lady had gotten fired by Bud Light's parent company, they went to town. I think their newest commercial was, well, I'd already explained their newest commercial. Basically, a guy from perfume commercial got stuck in a beer commercial and was enjoying hot wings, and regular dude from the beer commercial got stuck in an alien planet where they were all in black daddy leather, and someone had a boa constrictor for some reason. And it was one of those
Right.
perfume commercials that was supposed to be avant-garde. I don't need to explain myself. Just let me be sexy. And you have a guy sitting there in a hunting jacket with a baseball cap wondering, what the heck am I doing? Where am I? And where's the hot wings?
Yeah, well, rest assured, Marty, that the times are changing. It's like nowadays, people are no longer like giving the SJ hobos like the time and day anymore.
It's weird because I think it's because of all the bad PR. I mean, usually a lot of this stuff came under the radar when the writing was good, the art was good, and the story was good. But since they were so blatant, it just became lamer faster.
Really, it all started like in the mid to late 2000, no mid to late 2000s. Then when the 2010s came in, eventually the 2020s, everyone's everybody everyone's had to say enough's enough. No, we're tired of this. Let's get back. Now let's get back to how things were.
Yes, we need the common sense back. We need to start fighting. We need to really start fighting hard to get our culture back. I really do feel that way. We have got to stop just sitting back, laying back, and letting it just slip away. We've got to find a way to get our culture back, to preserve our culture back, and fight back against that. You know, that's what we really do need to start to do, in my opinion. Whatever you think that means, but I think we need to start getting our culture back to plain old common sense and common sense things. I really do think we need to get that back. So I hope Humble is right that we are seeing femininity return and being proud to being womanly, and not. It's just such overkill in everything. Race swapping every single character you find. You don't have to do that. Having masculinity come back in it's not. It just makes me so angry that we've allowed these wackos, and that's what I call them, to come in and just turn everything upside down. To come in and say, well, you know, that's masculine, or that's toxic masculinity. We can't have that. Take that out. Tone that down. Instead of doing it, don't let men be ashamed of their masculinity. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Teach your sons how to treat women and how to carry themselves. You know.
Yeah, tell that to a lot of the people. Yeah, try telling that to a lot of people who feel as though they live in the regime of the sexual revolution.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially, just show them that chivalry isn't dead, and yeah, and like there's no shame. There's no shame in
Yes.
masculinity, just there's no shame in femininity.
Yes, that's one thing. That's final. I was really enjoying those
Yeah,
videos about
but
the knights, because
it
I
was
was
so
like,
funny
wow,
too
that's
that
so
we went to
masculine.
like get rid of the shame that yeah, and originally, yeah, they don't even want to be, they don't even have any shame in what those freaks even like doing. However, it's only fair when they do the shaming. and I've said this before. It's like I forgot exactly which video. It's just like no, they do actually feel shame. It's only fair when they are the ones doing the shaming, because this is what it comes down to. They're bullies for a reason. Like
Eh?
racism is not cool except when we do it. Sexism is not cool except when we do it. That kind of thing. Like, congrats. You are definitely a hypocrite that no one's taking you any seriously.
Hypocrisy is a term that's long lost its edge and meaning.
Like, again, using that word, I don't think it means what you think it means. Well, and it plays on to why so many people are giving their time and day to like music, books, games, and so on in the alternative independent
Welcome back,
scene.
Wolf.
Yeah, welcome back.
Are you there?
Oh
Hello?
no, he's
Sounds
there. He's there, but like his volume's
He's
low.
there. I hear him.
Okay.
I think. Can you speak again?
I said, what did I miss?
Nothing. We were just still talking.
Our
Yeah.
audience just grew again.
Nice.
Oh, that's good. Hello.
Yeah, what I was gonna bring it up. Is what there's like all this plays into why so many people are giving their time and day, as well as patronage to works of fiction like from the alternative and independent scene than the mainstream. That's the one. Yeah, even especially including works from Europe as well as from the East, like from manga to manhwa, just name several examples, and of course, Japanese animation.
Heck,
Yep.
Japan.
So to put a pin on that, it's past the 2 hour mark. Did you want to end it here, Wolf? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, we were getting ready to kind of wrap it up. So
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely was ready to wrap it up. Even before we hit 2 hours. But I was running through some issues. So I guess I'll have to watch all the rest in the back watch just to see what I missed.
we just had a little conflict about gender.
Well, the thing is, I was intrigued by what Dark had to say, and then computer just got screwed with me just now.
Ouch.
Had the factory reset.
ouch.
It's like right when he was about to drop the name, and I was like, "Oh, why are you freezing up on me now?" He was getting to the good part.
no, what? Dark, he was on a roll.
Yeah, he was, and I missed it.
it's California. They're always out to get you.
California, rest in peace.
Oh my lord!
No, before we do sign off, well, like Ethereal Dragon does bring up iconic comics and Namco's Rags, which are actually works that people should check out because with iconic, especially from Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini, and also several other creators, they're giving the people what they want.
And they're giving people a story, whereas everybody's giving the non-writers, or rather the non-writers, are giving us their sex diaries of what little sex
Sounds
that
like a
they think that they're
frickin'
having.
Yeah, and we see
Sounds like
how
a
well
fetish
that's working
fanfic
out
on
at the
DeviantArt.
bookstore.
Yeah. All these read like fetish fanfics that I see on DeviantArt.
And lectures.
Oh yeah.
That too.
The
Yeah.
biggest insult is that they want to lecture you about how life is. Degenerates, people who want the Sodom and Gomorrah treatment, who wants to be in bed with Satan, and that's why they always try to. That's why they always try to lighten up a lot of villains these days.
Oh
The only one
yes.
that get a pass is Pokemon and Digimon, because let's face it, the Japs ruined that themselves. Pokemon, they made it into the lore. Not only did people hunt them and eat the Pokemon, but they also worshipped them as gods, and even married them and did the deed with them. So all that porn stuff, you're actually just looking at fictional.
Yeah.
You're looking at lore.
Yeah, you're just looking at lore. And then you got Digimon, like, oh, cute furry thing, and then it evolves and like, whoa,
For real.
hi lady, like Lilithmon, Rosemon, all like from little cute little things to the woman of your dreams. Wow, I'm conflicted.
This is why Digimon is the better mon. Well, Monster Rancher is actually the better one. To be honest, it just don't get enough attention because of the nature of it all.
Oh,
The way
dude.
how the monsters work in Monster Rancher, you're basically training an animal for a lifetime of competition and basically just competition until it's time to retire it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you grew up with that monster to that point, and they literally die.
Yeah.
Yep.
They will literally die.
Well-
They'll become that mystery disc that's in the shrubbery, which was interesting. Very, very interesting.
All right. Now,
I
buddy.
actually sat down and played the games, one or two of them, and I was like, "Oh, that's what made Monster Rancher unique. Was the fact that you grew with your mon. I mean, you grow with your Pokemon too, but like not to the level of Monster Rancher.
And then
Monster
the games you could play certain CDs, music CDs like a 2000s Linkin Park or something, and you get these unique monster hybrids, and it's like cool.
Oh yeah.
I miss novelties like that.
I love the anime.
Tiger of the Wind with his.
Oh yeah, me.
Playing a Taylor Swift CD would probably make the biggest abomination imaginable.
No, we don't need that. But I do recall watching the Monster Rancher anime from Kids WB, and trust me, it's very underrated.
It was
Much like the video game series.
For a while though. So I think we rarely saw it because it was on a channel that not many people watched.
And of course, Buddy Smith he brings up Renamon from Digimon Tamers, and the tons of fan art for Renamon.
Look, at this point, it's not porn; it's just nature documentary.
No, the thing with Renamon was you never knew whether it was a boy or girl, depending on what region you were in. And it was always dependent on what region you were in.
And that's why they also have like weird Fuda.
I'm saying, which made it even more weirder because Renamon was always heavily dependent on Rika's validation at the time. So imagine if you will, Renamon with a male voice talking about how much they appreciate Rika as a tamer. That shit had me rolling. I never watched the German version, but like Jesus Christ, just to know that information alone was just like, wow. Germany.
And remember, these are for children.
Exactly. Let's not forget the fucking Devimon, the Ice Devimon scene.
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ, that was really pushing. I'm like, bro, everybody was talking about the whole edit of fight between Renamon and Terriermon. I was more tripping over the fact that freaking Ice Devimon was trying to grope her at some point. I was like, bro, y'all tripping over some blood, missing blood and scratches and shit. I'm tripping over this motherfucker covering this bitch with his wings, with his arms all around her and shit. I was like, get your hands off of Rika. That's how it was. Like, you better get your hands off that girl.
Renamon always sounded like that little sister who finished a big sister's fights.
Pretty much. But yeah,
Ah, but the one cutie is Guillemon.
Oh, dude, he's the definition of a cinnamon roll.
Takato man. See, I ain't know I could do
Guillemon
that,
bread! Yay!
dude. Peanut butter. I love peanut butter.
But man, Tamers,
No,
it
what
was.
really set me up the roof was when Gilmon got bit by that one Tiger Deva,
Oh yeah.
and like when Takato went to that little spirit world with him, and only half of his body was showing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Oh
bro,
my.
did he bite your shoulder? Did he just ate up half of your body? What happened? What is going on?
Well,
And
hold
don't
on,
get me started on D Reaper. Don't you dare get me started on D
dude.
Reaper. D Reaper.
Come on,
man.
D Reaper remains one of the best villains in fiction.
Especially his Ice Deadmon with the walk-in voice was great. You're gonna be my tamer, and you're gonna make me get stronger.
Oh jeez. Now Charlie the Flower is asking who was the weirder furry trap, Renamon or Champine Leomon?
Which one?
Leomon.
Nah, Leomon was the noble man. Renamon was always the furry trap. Nah, Leomon was cool.
Oh yeah. Well,
I mean, if
Like,
you
he's the
factor
definition
Jerry,
of the
Jerry
hero
getting
archetype.
all Amy Rose on his ass, then maybe you have a case. But Leomon was always cool. I never had a problem with Leomon. Not even with him dying all the time in every iteration of Digimon. Never had a problem with Leomon that much. I was like, Leomon.
Yeah, but with
But I still
Tamers,
love my Garurumon.
ooh, another classic.
Yeah, and they're gonna make me forget Garurumon, or even where Garurumon, bro. I was up on Agumon for a while until where Garurumon showed up. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Look, bye Agumon. Hi Gabumon. Soon as he became soon as he turned to his older, I was like, man, fuck Agumon. He ain't turned to no werewolf. Like, look, I'm all for a cybernetic Tyrannosaurus, but bro, Matt got the better Digimon. He got the he rolled the right Digimon, man. Look, I was the Matt apologist for a while, man. All the bullshit he was doing for a while in between those seasons, man. All that bullshit he was doing, I was very forgiving. I was like, what? I was like, why you always being so forgiving of Matt's actions sometimes in this damn show? Because his Digimon can turn to a werewolf, and he got pants, and a pauldron, and some brass knuckles. Bro. The Japanese was not fucking around when they designed his ass. They really want you to love this motherfucker. I was like, bro,
you know, like we want a Digimon that would fit into Darkstalkers.
for
Here you
real.
go.
I'm like homie,
Hey.
like man, if there was ever a design that screamed, we want you to like this one, I'm gonna tell him right there. I was like, yeah, I like him. I like him a lot. I was waiting in bated breath and anticipation of what Garurumon was going to become in his ultimate, and boy, did they not disappoint. They did not disappoint. I was surprised and excited all the same. But he had a lame ass attack though. That's my only criticism of that form. He had a lame attack. He had two.
Now, of course, before
we
there's
continue, maybe we should shelve this for another time. We're about that 2:15
I know. But you know Don, he always get my ass on the road when it comes to shit like this.
I try my best.
we gonna put the. We already got this on a list of anime spotlight, so don't even worry about that shit. We gonna be doing.
Wondrous and odd adventures of Pokemon and Digimon.
I mean,
Get your
that can be
socks
a
and
discussion in
tissues.
itself, but like I was trying to plan out a Mon discussion with the anime spotlights. You know, because we gotta talk about the Mon explosion at some point in anime spotlight. We gotta do that. As much as we're doing the Mecha Train right now, here and there, whenever we get a chance, an OVA train, we got to talk about the mech. We gotta talk about the Mon genre, because man, there was a lot of Mon stuff going on, man. And
A lot.
The more I saw it, the more weirder it got, especially Bakugan.
Dude.
I remember those. I remember having the toys of those.
Bakugan did not have the bit
You got to
beast
fight
break.
for what's right. I was like, man, that was like the
No.
Bears Bone theme song for a Mon series, but I was digging it though.
Even Beyblade dipped its toes on Mon.
That's more. I would say Beyblade was more on the level of Yu-Gi-Oh though. What do you even call Yu-Gi-Oh? The dual genre?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Anyways,
we'll touch on that later in the future.
So I thank everybody for being here. Those 6 of you now. I guess I'll have to wait till later for you guys to start sliding in, I guess. Because somehow y'all just come out the woodwork when we get past midnight. Ain't y'all bad time? Anyways, those 6 of you and those nonsense motherfuckers that kept popping in and out. Come next week, we're gonna have something special going on. Hopefully I'll have something special for you guys. Maybe another movie spotlight. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's do next Tuesday movie spotlight, Deep Rising.
Ooh.
That's free on YouTube. We can watch that this weekend, and we'll talk about Deep Rising with Treat Williams and the quintessential Bond villainess Femke Jensen, aka Jean Grey, along with several other well-known actors that had seen some spotlights and have fell off on the wayside, including Benny from the Mummy
Mummy.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got a lot. I want to talk about that the most because there's a lot of actors on there that I want to highlight.
And what it was supposed to lead into, a Kong Island that didn't happen.
Hey. Unfortunately.
We'll get into that.
What?
But anyways,
next Thursday.
we'll touch
Next
on
Thursday's
that.
episode.
And I'm preemptively planning and speaking of the Mummy, we're actually going to touch on the Mummy trilogy coming up, actually, because we have yet to talk about that. Actually,
That's true.
Tom Cruise, yay!
But
Not
next
that Mummy
Thursday,
trilogy.
next Thursday of the Real Millennials, we'll be touching on heroes and villains.
Good. Yeah, I was just about to bring that up because one thing I'm gonna say this really quickly because it's getting late. I think there's a line being blurred between evil and good, and it bothers me. But I'll go into that when we talk about heroes and villains.
I mean, the
Next
amount
Thursday.
of saying it for a while now, and now you suddenly waking up to it.
No, but I was just waiting for the right moment to really expound on it.
Guilt tripping aside, we'll be talking about that too, and we're definitely coming up on a few months where we're gonna bring back Anime Spotlight, and this time we're gonna talk about the Robotech OVA. Do you remember Love? At some point, like I said, we're gonna touch on Reboot, the series Reboot, not a series reboot, but you get my drift.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget, the return
the
of manga
show
studies
Reboot.
in the future.
It's called Reboot.
Shut up.
Oh,
We'll return with Claymore at some point, but really what I want to tackle right now to keep things fresh is Kaiju number 8.
Hey.
Yes!
Oh my
See?
god, Humble.
Even Marty's excited. No, but seriously, Kaiju number 8 is seriously good from Shonen Jump.
I'm just mad. Well, I'm not mad. I'm just surprised that Bumble is so elated.
Hey,
was
she
not
has every right
expecting
to be. It's genuinely
I
good.
was not. I'm just saying I was not expecting that response, but I appreciate her enthusiasm. It is very
Oh,
well appreciated. Leia, I'm sorry, but you're part of this now, so you're technically a manga lover or manga appreciator or manga observer. One of
I'll
those
be a
three.
manga observer. I think it's a better title for me.
but
A
rest assured,
connoisseur.
Leia. But rest assured, Leia, that Kaiju number 8 is a traditional. It's a traditional good versus evil story.
One thing I will definitely say that really surprised me about the Japanese at this point, they really are doing the everyman a lot better than most stories these days.
Especially especially with today's most of quote unquote creators.
I'm actually surprised that they would actually tackle a I'm actually pretty surprised that they're tackling my occupation as a main character's occupation. That's something I never would have thought would be a backstory for a manga superhero. And then again, the Japanese are very well known for taking anything mundane and boring and turning it into something exciting, or at least
There's
turning it
been
into
plenty
something.
of janitor heroes before.
Hmm.
I mean, Hong
Right,
Kong
right,
Fooey
right, right.
daylighted as
Eternal,
a
eternal.
janitor.
That's true.
Right, right, right. You're correct. Do you remember Love is a movie within the show?
Hmm.
Let's just say it's a show with better animation. But anyways, the Sixth Ranger, Dark Stranger.
Mm. So, thank you for having me, and have a good morning.
The lovely Leia Valor, Leia plus size. Oh my God, let's just hope she don't get branded.
He'll mistake her for Cass. I mean,
It will make sense when we cover Berserk, Leia. Trust me.
Goodness gracious. Okay. All I will say. Okay, child of fire. I don't know who Griffith is, but okay. Anyway, this is Leah Plus Size, your lovely letter Valor, and thank you for joining us for this Chill Friday stream that we had. Please leave your comments below about any other topic you would like for us to rant about. You know how we go, but I'm pretty sure Wolf will very much appreciate your comments. He would love to hear from you. Until then, I wish everyone a very good weekend.
I don't remember you speaking for me, but okay. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Just I was like, okay.
I kid. But no, yeah, appreciate it though. The humblest of writers, Humble Marty.
Hello, this is Humble Marty, and I'm glad everyone got to enjoy our little chill stream where we talked about history, pop culture stuff, and then more pop culture stuff and history.
And her saying, Yay! The Hound of the South, Dominic Powell.
Thank you everyone for joining us in our chill stream, as well as part 2 of the history episode for the Real Millennials. Make sure you stay tuned for everything that Wolf has brought up so far. This is the Hound of the South, Dominic Powell. You have a good rest of your weekend, and as always, remember, cynicism is for losers.
Just remind you guys that we all have our vices. We all have our greatness, and we have our heroes and legends to fall back on. And in the direst of times right now, even though when things are reconstructing themselves and we're shifting the shift in the pendulum swinging has turned. Please keep in mind that I've said this so many times. I still stand by it. That it's our time now. Our legends are dying off little by little. And I'm not saying that just to be morbid or to degrade their memories or anything of that nature. I'm just telling you guys at this point, I'm not saying you should be the next Gene Hackman or the next Michael Jackson or anything of that matter. But what I will say is you're filling in the you can't really fill in the hole that they left behind. but you can at least be there to how am I trying to say this? How am I trying to-
Essentially, it's that be inspired
be the next
by
inspiration.
these legends.
Is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
be the next inspiration.
And with that next inspiration, we go to the Warrior of Light Final Fantasy Fan 12.
Well, that about
Somebody
does
wake
it
him
for this
up.
video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, did you hear me just now?
Now
Yes.
I did.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, we heard you
sorry,
polishing the
audio.
horns.
Oh my lord.
Sorry.
Get
Mean
your
the
brain
horns
out of the
gone
gutter,
nowhere.
Scarecrow.
Talking about the horns
Anyways.
gone nowhere.
So, anyways, that about does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, click like and subscribe and share with your family and friends. And make sure you ring that notification bell, that way you get notified of our latest videos. Go to Wolfton Media if you haven't. And once again, so much for watching. This is
Whoa.
Final Fantasy Fan 12 signing off. And remember, may the light forever shine upon us.
Glitched out and then you started speaking like you were on helium or something.
For real.
Yeah,
That was fucking weird.
it's kind of the, it's the audio, because the Wi-Fi at my place is kind of weird like that. It stops, then it just goes back up.
You know something? I really hope when all things in the dust has settled, our infrastructure is actually fucking stable for once.
I hope so too.
That's one thing that's
Sucks
been
here
my
in
main
Michigan.
concern so far is our fucking infrastructure so far, electrical network and the like. That's really what's been my concern all throughout the beginning of this year, actually.
Mm-hmm.
For reals. But this has been your War Commander Wotan. Remind you guys once again that you are the UN Spacey. Tune in next time because I welcome you guys to the Wolf Fleet.
Big smiles, everyone. You beat the bad guy.
What a lot of fun. You guys have been real swell. And there's not a one who can say this ended well. All those secrets you've been concealing, say you're happy now. Once more with feeling. Now I gotta run. See you home. In hell.